Thanks for watching our coronavirus special this evening as we take a look back at how the past year has shaped the Western Slope.
It's been 1 year since the first confirmed case in Summit County was announced. After more than 430,000 positive cases in our state and a new world of masks and social distancing, it's safe to say the pandemic has changed our world.
That's right. From hospitals to schools, many facilities have even implemented some form of a COVID screening at their doors.
And while some might find them pesky, we spoke with a U.S. Army veteran who says those screenings at the Grand Junction VA Medical Center may have saved his life.
Like I said, thank you, Lord. It was a God thing.
Ron Summerhouse went to the VA Medical Center to pick up a prescription.
And on the way in, they, of course, were checking everybody, temperature and what have you, and I coughed a little bit.
Summerhouse was asked about other possible COVID symptoms, to which he responded he had a little bit of fatigue. The staff member told him to go to the emergency department for more testing.
And lo and behold, they wound up keeping me. I had pneumonia. I had no idea.
Summerhouse had been diagnosed with double pneumonia in the 80s.
And the doctors at the time told me, don't ever get it again because it could do you in. Could be fatal.
But Summerhouse and the VA were able to catch it before it was too late.
I'm amazed and blessed.
The VA started screening for COVID at the beginning of the pandemic.
At first, we know that it was a little cantankerous for our veterans to come in and even our staff to go through the screening process.
Kayla Holst, who works for the VA, says this incident was a small silver lining in all the devastation the pandemic has caused.
We never assumed it would catch other illnesses or other situations like Ron's. So it makes me so much more happy that we've been so diligent to keep it consistent.
And Summerhouse agrees.
What do you say? God bless you. Thank you. Words can't explain my gratefulness to them and the care that I got here.
When it first reached Colorado, health professionals knew there was no immunity for the novel coronavirus.
Yeah, and while we've made a tremendous amount of progress in just 1 year, almost no one knew what to expect as COVID-19 spread through communities. Executive Director Jeff Kaur shared with me how his team at Mesa County Public Health was uniquely prepared for the daunting task ahead. Mesa County often avoids major issues found in larger cities in the Denver metro. A global pandemic, however, would not be stopped from migrating along the I-70 corridor. As the entire country, state of Colorado, and Mesa County began to battle the unknowns of the coronavirus, Mesa County Public Health had the right people in place for the fight.
My team is built on epidemiologists. I think it's important. I come from a background of epidemiology. So many health departments in the state, they're run through kind of the background of either nursing or program specialties, specialty areas. Ours was on the science of epidemiology, which is the base science for public health.
These public health experts found guidance in their own recent experiences.
We had a really good drill a year before because we had such a huge norovirus outbreak.
District 51 schools made national headlines in 2019 following school closures after more than 2,000 students began experiencing symptoms of what was later determined to be the norovirus. Thrown into the national spotlight, Executive Director Jeff Kaur says Mesa County Public Health found learning opportunities to better handle the spread of disease.
We really had more of a focus on reporting out the information. And so, I brought the team in, we regrouped. And what was so interesting about that was that we could put down an entire chronological map of that outbreak. And having learned lessons, we feel like we could have stopped it sooner. We saw some themes that had emerged, but hindsight's 2020, as they say.
Still proud of how the county reports information on the virus, he says the focus needs to be in another direction.
It really needs to be in truly what is epidemiology. It's controlling the spread of the disease.
Mesa County Public Health, he says, is staffed with experts doing just that. In the last year, Executive Director Kaur says that has made all the difference. The county was able to quickly set up testing sites, and even with initial testing supply shortages, he says the county averaged 500 tests per day at the fairgrounds.
As more testing sites became available through CMU, and then CMU's vendor started going to the school district, we could run a couple thousand 2,500 tests a day in Mesa County. The hospitals were testing. That was really the key, and that was part of our messaging, was to tell people, if you suspect you have been exposed, or if you have any symptoms, go get a test.
Prior to the availability of a vaccine, testing allowed health professionals to see exactly where the virus was in the community and allowed Core and his team to stay ahead of the virus before it spread too quickly.
We put all of our effort into that, and I felt it was beneficial to us because, Logan, we really held this off to very few cases per week until about, I believe, August or September. So we didn't see an early spike in Mesa County. Our first spike was the one that we're coming off of right now.
1 year later, with vaccinations increasing each day, the county continues the battle and successes against the virus. It's not just the experience with the norovirus which has helped Mesa County minimize the impacts of the pandemic. Executive Director Core says it's the determination of his team of experts.
My deputy director, Deanna Williams, she is a superstar, and she and I have built an awesome team. Our leadership team, everybody at Mesa County Public Health is they're just so dedicated. And so our goal with each one of these phases is that we are the best. We are going to be the best at testing, the best at contact tracing, the best at vaccinating. And everyone knows that, and they're so serious about it. And that, I think, has been key.
And Lena, you just heard Jeff Core mention Mesa County didn't see its first surge until just this past fall.
The extra time was to the benefit of our local hospitals and allowed them to train staff to better care for themselves and patients against the coronavirus. Jillian McCarthy has the story.
As coronavirus cases increased across the country, local health officials say the outdoor lifestyle spared Mesa County from severe effects of the pandemic. Even as cases remained low, Community Hospital kept focused on one thing:
preparing our staff to safely be able to care for the COVID patient with all the unknowns.
Hospital workers were always prepared to jump into action, but were grateful to sit back and learn from the experiences in hospitals around the country to provide better care on the Western Slope.
What we initially did for patients ended up not being the right thing, and we were able to take full advantage of other people's learning curve on how to best care for these patients.
Vaccines were approved for use shortly after Mesa County hit its first true surge in cases, significantly easing the burden on hospitals and healthcare workers in our area.
The speed of which the vaccine was able to be developed is not only, I think, important for COVID-19, but it's also going to be a game changer moving forward for future unfortunate infections.
Such fast vaccine development was unexpected, but certainly welcome in the fight against the virus. Dr. Thomas Tobin, the chief medical officer at Community Hospital, calls receiving a vaccine a personal choice for each of us, but says the science is undebatable.
We've had vaccines for polio, measles, mumps, and I guess I would encourage people to look at the history of vaccines and how it has changed and how it has bettered the lives of millions, if not billions, of people over the course of time.
Spared from the worst possible outcomes, Community Hospital's Chief Nursing Officer Joe Girardi says, "We have a responsibility to learn and grow from the past year of battling a pandemic."
So that in the event we would ever have any other situation like this or another situation, we are just a little bit more braced, if you will, for it, and it's not so fast and furious at you in your face when it gets here.
And maybe the next pandemic won't become a pandemic because we have that ability to react quickly.
If you're 65 or older, you're at an increased risk for severe illness from COVID-19. Being vaccinated means you're less likely to be hospitalized.
I was so excited to get my vaccine.
To protect my congregation.
To feel more confident.
Para proteger a nuestras familias.
To protect each other.
Let's reopen the community, get the vaccine, and help restore what we love about Western Colorado.
Now, while the coronavirus has forced countless business closures and tens of millions of Americans to file for unemployment, while restrictions and lockdowns took a toll on the global economy, Mesa County public health officials knew they had to protect not only the physical health, but also the economic health of the community.
The health department eventually developed a program to give the community peace of mind when shopping and dining. The Variance Protection Program, or 5-Star Program, allowed businesses to remain open and the community to feel safe while supporting local businesses. Krista Spadaccini has the story.
In Mesa County, overcoming a pandemic boils down to 3 factors.
It's about physical health, it's about mental health, and it's about economic health.
Counting positive cases answers how quickly the virus is spreading in a community. But Mesa County Public Health is looking for answers to different questions.
What are all the indirect effects that are going to be associated with this? And so, how can we truly prevent not only COVID, but other things as well?
Mesa County Public Health's Executive Director, Jeff Core, says the indirect effects of a struggling economy will only add to the effects on public health during the pandemic.
If you have a community that's shut down, then we're dealing with all sorts of indirect health-related issues that are going to play themselves out for years.
Avoiding shutdowns and business closures became not only a priority, but a responsibility for Executive Director Core. He says finding opportunities to keep businesses open and keep the community working would be the benefit of everyone on the Western Slope through the Mesa County 5-Star Program.
So we were early in going after, the opportunities with the state when the variances. At one point, the governor said Mesa County, I believe, is more open than any county in the United States.
Open businesses still had plenty of safety restrictions, but being open at 30%, Core says, is still open.
People from around the state were going, 30%, that's nothing. It's a start. Because it wasn't long after that we opened up to 50% before anybody else. And as I mentioned, the governor made reference to us being possibly the most open county in the United States.
He says the 5-Star Program provided community members the comfort of knowing where to shop and dine without the majority of safety concerns. A small but significant sign in business windows, bringing some sense of normalcy to the community and strength to the economy in a year unlike any other.
There were some businesses, 100 at first, that were dedicated to providing a very safe environment for people who were afraid to go out. So we created that, and then that became a tool for us as we closed down to stay more open as well. And as we all know, the state then eventually did adopt the 5-Star Program statewide.
As businesses begin to reopen throughout the state, Executive Director Core was able to look on with a sense of pride, knowing the 5-Star Variance Program was the prescription for Colorado's struggling economic health.
That came out of Mesa County Public Health and my team.
Certainly a lot of good news coming from Mesa County Public Health, and the Variance Protection Program has helped businesses across the state stay in business and keep employees working. As Jeff Core mentioned, the statewide plan started right here in Mesa County.
It didn't just start in Mesa County, it thrived in Mesa County. The Grand Junction Area Chamber of Commerce says a conservative estimation shows the program had a direct economic impact of more than $13 million. Randy Golden owns 2 businesses in Grand Junction, including the Goat and Clover Tavern, which is part of the 5-Star Variance Program.
It was a great program that enabled us to open inside dining.
In fact, the program was so great, he says it was essential for keeping his businesses alive.
Which I'm pretty sure we would not have survived last year if that hadn't been the case.
Hundreds of businesses were able to continue to operate through all stages of the pandemic thanks to the 5-Star Program. And according to a representative of the Grand Junction Area Chamber of Commerce, allowing restaurants to stay open through the pandemic created a $13 million positive economic impact.
Which is significant and shows that it really, truly was a matter of strengthening our economy at a time that it needed to be stabilized and strengthened during the pandemic.
But it's not just about the money. The 5-Star Program also helped keep people employed.
For a long time, our unemployment numbers were below the state average. And even today, when you take a look at our unemployment numbers, while it's around the 8% mark, which is typical across the state, we're actually seeing our labor force grow.
And helped Mesa County keep a sense of normalcy in such tumultuous times.
You can't measure that in terms of dollars of economic impact, but it definitely affected the quality of life for the residents and for those employees who knew that they had a level of job security.
While the coronavirus pandemic first hit the ski areas in Summit County, it wasn't the only area with mountain towns forced to call an early end to the ski season.
Yeah, the town of Telluride and its mountain village shut down overnight, but the closure didn't break the town known for tourism. County officials and a famous local chef say it made the small southwestern Colorado community stronger than ever. San Miguel County is an international destination, especially during the ski season. County officials experienced in navigating the slopes were just weeks away from being woefully unprepared for the arrival of the coronavirus.
We were without a public health director up until 1 month before the pandemic broke out.
The tourism boom from Telluride skiing, often the strength of the economy, suddenly a cause for concern, and county officials received a call from the mountain resort expressing that concern, saying,
"We don't want to be cause for the nucleus of a major outbreak." It was decided that the ski area should shut down, and they did so on that Sunday, March 15th.
I was catering that Sunday night. The mountain had been closed down that day. I was catering for a bunch of second homeowners. They were saying, well, we're just going to stay here. Like, why would we go back to Texas and quarantine there when we had this wonderful house and we could just be here? I was like, oh, well, I'll still be open. Like, my restaurant will be open for as long as they let me. And then the next day, they're like, yeah, you're all closing down. All the restaurants are closing down immediately.
Businesses abruptly shut down with more questions than answers. Long before the coronavirus testing was readily available, 2 part-time community members reached out to health officials about their company, Kovacs, and how it could possibly be able to assist.
They were in the process of going public with their antibody testing. And so even though that doesn't tell if the disease is actively present in the body, it will tell you if you've been exposed to it and have created antibodies.
More than 5,000 people were able to be tested for antibodies almost immediately. Luckily, showing the virus had not already been surging in the community, but true COVID tests were still not readily available. Health officials decided to stop all non-essential travel in and out of the county and continue business closures.
I have a little boy, and he and I were quarantining together for about 2 weeks. And then I decided that I needed to dust off some cobwebs. So we started doing very affordable takeout. It was dinner for 2 with a bottle of wine.
221 South Oak, while unable to seat customers, suddenly became the only excuse for many people to leave the house.
People were coming to the restaurant and they were getting dressed up to pick up their food, and they were saying like how they weren't going to eat in their pajamas that evening, and it was a once a week, just got people very excited.
Eliza Gavin's food has always gotten the people of Telluride excited, and she's loved sharing the excitement with them.
I've always loved doing classes. We do wine and appetizer pairing classes where it's about 14 courses, about 10 wines. And so people kind of get a little bombed, which is fun, which is great.
No longer able to host classes inside, 221's owner and chef realized how she could still reach the community and took the popular cooking instruction to the web.
It's just a great way to still be teaching and still have people learning about food and enjoying food and wine together without them having to come in, because it's still not happening. People are still not coming in as much.
And that's just another great example of where they changed how they typically operate to focus on safety.
The community rallied around the new safety measures throughout the small town, and on many days, the buzz on the streets would almost make you forget the ongoing pandemic.
We had a fantastic summer. The town has never been busier. The event for people was going out to eat.
People in the small Box Canyon town found a way to rise above the uncertainty, lockdowns, and closures to support their community more than ever before.
And we've actually seen some businesses do more business than they ever have.
I really feel like the people of Telluride thrived. You know, we found different ways to feed people, to seat people. I think really helped the town, and it's going to help in the future for sure.
I don't know about you, but after seeing some of that food, I'm willing to take the drive down to Telluride and get one of those boxes and do some of that cooking.
Oh, absolutely.
Might have to take a group trip sometime soon. Now, it's not just restaurants and businesses. Sports were impacted as well. And like many sports over the past year, the 2020 high school baseball season was canceled for our local schools, leaving high schoolers with no option to take the field and compete.
Baseball proved to be too important to our area, and a Grand Junction man started a league of his own to let the boys of summer play.
Yeah, and as our sports director, Mike Kretz, first reported this past summer, this league, it was such a hit, it was worth an hour drive every day.
1 hour down and 1 hour back. That's the trip the Rifle Bears baseball team has been making through Tibet Canyon this summer, thanks to the Grand Mesa High School League. The Shasta-sanctioned spring season was lost, but a summer season gained.
We've been getting 3 games a week, 2 games a week, and it's just awesome to have that opportunity.
Ask any player, and they'll agree.
It's been really fun to get back out and play baseball again.
Pretty much excites me. I was like, heck yeah.
It was really great to come back.
It was really cool getting the call and being like, yes, finally.
Finally able to play the sport they love. No doubt the 60-mile trip is a bit inconvenient, but this team isn't sweating it. Many of the players, mostly underclassmen, have been playing together here in Rifle for 8 years.
I just love hanging out with them. It's just so much fun. We always mess around, and it's just a good time.
Chemistry Rifle's head coach says makes his job more comfortable.
It's been easy to work with these guys because they've been well coached all the way through from being younger. So there's a lot of things that they knew that we haven't had to teach that we just got to implement with them. And this summer we've been able to do all of that as well.
And it shows. The Bears, one of the league's top teams, doesn't just show up, they show out, rocking some great defensive plays and impressive bats too. Incoming freshman Logan Gross says he enjoys the chance to show his future teammates what he can do.
When I go into leagues like this, they don't know that I'm one of the youngest on the team. So I try my best and my hardest so I can prove myself.
And as it turns out, the trip has its advantages too.
I have my permit, so getting all the hours in and playing baseball.
1 hour down, 1 hour back. You won't hear any Bears complain.
Thank you for watching our digital special on fighting the coronavirus pandemic.
Now, if you missed part or if you'd just like to watch it again, we're going to leave it up on westernslope.now.com.
If you'd like to leave a comment, please don't hesitate to visit our KREX5 Facebook page.
Now, we appreciate you logging on and watching, and we're going to have more of these special reports on a wide variety of interesting topics on westernslope.now.com very soon.
If you're 65 or older, you're at an increased risk for severe illness from COVID-19. Being vaccinated means you're less likely to be hospitalized.
I was so excited to get my vaccine.
To protect my congregation.
To feel more confident.
Para proteger a nuestras familias.
To protect each other.
Let's reopen the community, get the vaccine, and help restore what we love about Western Colorado.